You say that the real breakthrough here is not just AI, but the fact that people are simply more comfortable chatting than navigating.
Yeah, I think that's it, right? The biggest advantage messaging has isn't technology, it's behavior.
Do you think that betting could become one of the first industries where autonomous agents are effectively competing against each other in real money markets?
Yeah, I think betting's starting to behave less like entertainment and more like a market.
Hello and welcome to the G3 podcast. For years, the sportsbook industry has competed on content, markets and features, but the interface itself, kind of the way users actually place bets, hasn't particularly changed. It's still a world of menus, scrolling, building bet slips inside increasingly crowded apps. But now a different shift is starting to emerge. As AI becomes more capable, we're moving into the area of agentic systems, not just answering questions, but taking action. So interpreting intent, making decisions, executing transactions. So to explore all this, I'm joined by Josh Swerdlow, co-founder at ChatBet, a company that's positioned itself right at the center of that shift, connecting messaging platforms itself, like WhatsApp and Telegram, directly to the sportsbook wallet, turning conversation into the interface for betting. Early benchmarks suggest that nearly 1 in 3 users are already placing the confirm bet stage through WhatsApp, which raises a pretty interesting question. Are we starting to see the beginning of the end for the traditional sportsbook app? Josh, what do you think on that?
I think it's a great question, and I think that sportsbooks today, they're built around navigation. Agentic AI is flipping that into action, right? So for decades, sportsbooks have been built like interfaces you need to learn. Especially in the mobile app world, right? You even have gamification and onboarding to help you understand how to navigate the menus, filter leagues, find markets in order to build that bet slip that you're looking for. It's a structured journey the user has to follow. Whereas agentic AI flips that model completely. Instead of navigating, users can simply express intent the way that they talk in their own language. So for me, I'd say something like, put 20 quid on Liverpool to win with Salah to score. The system, ChatBet, can take that, interpret it into the platform language, map it to the platform it's integrated to pull the structured markets, build the bet, and then execute it. So the shift isn't just AI in betting. It's a move from user experience, user interface driven interaction to intent driven execution. The interface becomes invisible. You could say front end is dead, and the user no longer has to adapt to the product. We're helping the product adapt to the user and the way they say and do things. So betting is one of the first industries where this works end to end, right? Because you have the infrastructures that are already there in terms of the odds, the markets, the wallets, and I suppose the APIs. So we're essentially just layering the intelligence on top of the stack that's already there from a conversation directly into the transactions.
A couple of things I'd like to pick up on. Agentic, I mean, even how you pronounce it, is it agentic? Is it agentic? Agentic AI is one of the most talked about ideas in tech right now. Of that's certain. But it means different things to different people. It very much depends on what industry you're in. So in simple terms, we're moving from AI that provides information to AI that actually takes action. From your perspective, what does that shift really mean in a sportsbook context?
Yeah, that's a really good question. AI has obviously exploded in the last few years, and I think how we've seen our AI evolve to become agentic is the shift from AIs that talk to AIs that do. So for the last few years, AI has been great at answering questions like, what are the odds? Who's playing tonight? But it kind of stops there, right? So the user still has to go and do the work, navigate within the app and then find the market, build the bet. and place it. What we're seeing now is that AI can interpret intent and execute the full flow. So instead of asking questions, the user just says, put 20 quid in Liverpool to win with Salah again. The system understands that and it maps it to the structured markets and builds the bet slip. What we're seeing and why we're calling ourselves agentic is that we are, or we have, I suppose, taken the chains off our LLM and we've taken away the specific flows that we've built for it to answer or to stick within its lanes. And once it's now got its chains taken off, it has full autonomy to answer the question in a way it believes it needs to answer. And if it doesn't understand it, it asks a question back to then get closer to the answer, because it's got a mind of its own, right? It's no longer binary, but it kind of needs to get down. I would describe it like a salesman. You know, when a salesman wants to sell a product, it needs to understand the person in front of it and what that person wants. You know, exactly like when you sell a pen, you can, it's the common sales question. So instead of selling the pen, assuming, you say, what do you use the pen for? Do you have a particular color? Is it something that you just need quickly, or is it something that you want to look expensive? So the LLM, the AI, is asking these qualifying questions to be able to get to the point where it can not just answer the question, but as I said, it can bring up the correct bet slip. So I'll give you another example. So Liverpool winning by 2. If I say that I want Liverpool to win 3-1, right? Let's go with the against United. So when it checks the platform for that, it says, okay, Liverpool win. Yes, I can see that market, but Liverpool winning by 2, I'm confused, because you could either have Liverpool scoring 2 goals or Liverpool winning by 2 goals or more. So now that the chains are off the LLM, it can come back and it say, well, okay, well, what did you want? Did you want to score 2 goals or to win by 2 goals?
So the real shift is that AI isn't just helping users navigate the product; it's starting to almost be the product, and that's something that came out in that recent data that ChatBet released. I've got some stats here that users are interacting within 23 seconds, and in some cases reaching confirm bet in just over 3 minutes. It's this idea of almost there being interface fatigue, and that as sportsbook apps become more feature rich, incredibly so, if depending on what app you're using, that means more taps, more menus, more friction. But when betting moves into messaging, that friction almost drops away pretty quickly. So would you say that the real breakthrough here is not just AI, but the fact that people are simply more comfortable chatting than navigating?
Yeah, I think that's it, right? The biggest advantage messaging has isn't technology, it's behavior. So messaging works because it's where users are spending their time. People are spending hours in WhatsApp, Telegram, iMessage. It's the most natural digital behavior we have. I think statistics are there's 1 billion users on Telegram. WhatsApp has 2.5 billion users. That's nearly half of the world population. AI, like a ChatGPT, has 1 billion users. WhatsApp users are spending 24 times. They're checking WhatsApp 24 times a day. Like, they're obsessed with it. So instead of asking users to open a sportsbook app, log in, and then navigate, and then kind of press get off from all of these pop-ups and promotions and everything else that they're being bombarded with, you're meeting them in a context that they're already comfortable and relaxed in. And that's why that you're seeing things like 23 seconds to first interaction. There's no friction, there's no learning curve. There's a psychological shift. When users are in an app, they're in kind of product mode. They're expecting complexity. They're expecting to press the X button off that pop-up as soon as they come in to the website. It's they just naturally understand that it's going to be complex. Whereas when they're in chat, they're in expression mode. They say what they want. And that's the key, right? Messaging isn't just another channel. It's an interface where intent is naturally expressed. Once you capture that intent, everything else, bet construct, execution, wallet interaction can happen behind the scenes.
So your thesis seems to be that, correct me if I'm wrong, that these environments are shifting, so like Telegram, like WhatsApp, they're shifting from communication tools into almost transaction layers. So almost getting to a world where sportsbook apps become secondary to messaging channels, because once intent can be interpreted and connected directly to the wallet, that messaging thread effectively becomes the front door to the sportsbook.
Exactly. I don't think that this is about replacing apps. It's about creating or redefining the front door. So it's not about replacing apps. It's about redefining the front door. I don't think apps will disappear, especially not yet, but I do think they lose their monopoly. What we're seeing is that messaging becomes a high conversion entry point. Users can go from 0 to confirm bets extremely quickly. And that's why we're seeing things like 1 in 3 users reaching that stage in chat. Apps still play an important part, an important role. Deeper explanation, more complex features, but they're no longer the only interface where bets happen. So the future is multi-surface, right? Messaging captures intent and drives action. Apps, websites provide depth and control. The key for the operator is connecting these surfaces seamlessly. So the risk isn't that apps or websites go away. It's that if you rely only on one, you're going to miss the moment where intent actually happens. You're missing the opportunity. And that's increasingly happening outside of apps. More often now, it's happening in a conversational environment because a bet starts with a conversation and it ends with a conversation.
There's another dynamic happening in parallel that's related to what you just said, and it will almost potentially kind of round out. We're seeing more automated behavior in betting markets, so systems scanning odds, placing bets at precise moments, etc. It's starting to look a lot like almost algorithmic trading, but just in a different wrapper. Do you think that betting could become one of the first industries where autonomous agents are effectively competing against each other in real money markets?
Yeah, I think betting's starting to behave less like entertainment and more like a market. If you look at how people are already behaving in betting, you're seeing early signs of what you're saying. Users are scanning for arbitrage, reacting to odd changes in real time, and building their own predictive strategies. Right now, that's mostly being done manually, but agentic and autonomous agents can automate that behavior, monitor the markets, identify opportunities, and execute bets instantly. At that point, it does start to resemble algorithmic trading. You have agents operating on real-time data, making decisions and executing a market in real time. So what's interesting is betting might actually move faster than traditional finance markets. The infrastructure is more open, the barriers are lower, and the feedback loops are immediate. So there's a real possibility, as you said, that betting becomes one of the first environments where autonomous agents operate at scale in real money markets.
And if that happens, tying it back to what we were saying before, the interface becomes even more important, doesn't it? Because agents need fast, direct ways to execute. And so if you had to, it's a bit of a simple throwaway question, but why not? If you had to call it, what disappears first, the bet slip or the sportsbook app?
Oof. I think the bet slip will always be there. It's the way I describe it's like a shopping cart, right? So the bet slip always has to be there. You always have to kind of put something into a shopping cart before you purchase it. users like to review that shopping cart. As we're speaking about like where they do that within an app, a website, or a message, a conversation. I think as we've seen every decade, there's a new interface layer. Within this industry, within sports betting, it kind of went from um, face to face, face to face shops to then telephone betting, to then online, to then mobile apps. Now, what we're introducing is the newest interface layer being messaging. So I think players are naturally used to a new interface, but I suppose the process in which taking away the shopping cart or the bet slip, I'm not sure is there yet. So I would say taking away the app or changing the interface layer as it naturally evolves over time as technology kind of advances.
So once autonomous systems start interacting with sportsbooks, of course, you introduce a whole new set of questions around trust and oversight. So operators already struggle to distinguish between legitimate automation and harmful behavior. And there's increasing discussion around things like that know your agent frameworks, essentially trying to understand who or what is placing bets. How do you think the industry should be thinking about that?
As soon as AI starts acting, not just advising, trust becomes the core problem. The moment you move from AIs suggesting bets to executing those bets, the entire conversation changes. You're now dealing with real money actions. You're dealing with introducing questions around control, responsibility, compliance, which in this industry is always an ongoing conversation. So, as you said, today operators focus on KYC, know your customer, verifying the human. But as agents become part of that flow, do we need to start thinking about KYA, know your agent? Um, this is a user associated tool. Is it autonomous? Is it compliant with responsible gambling rules? Is it behaving in a way that's fair for the market? I can tell you from ChatBet's perspective, the good news is that this doesn't require reinventing the regulatory wheel or the regulatory system. In our case, everything runs through the operator on their rails of how it currently works. KYC, wallet, execution, settlement, that's all staying the same. We're just an interface layer. So we don't need to reinvent the compliance rules. The industry will need to perhaps look at new frameworks to define and govern agent behavior. And the operators who lean into this early will be the ones who shape how this will evolve. But I think as soon as AI starts acting, not just advising, trust becomes the topic, and we all need to come together to understand how it evolves in a way that we can control it, but also benefit from it.
So if agentic AI continues to evolve and conversational interfaces keep improving, what do you think the betting ecosystem would look like 5 years from now? Do you think that we end up in a world where users interact primarily with AI agents and those agents themselves interact directly with sportsbooks?
Yeah, I think what's happening is that conversation is becoming the interface layer for action. Okay, so instead of users navigating products, expressing intent, and systems like ours interpreting it and executing it, today that's a bet. But but structurally, it can be anything: a trade, a payment, a financial position. What ChatBet and what we're doing and what we're building is sitting right in the middle of that shift. We're not replacing operators. We're building an intelligent layer on top of their infrastructure. So when users say what they want, whether that's in WhatsApp or Telegram or Line or Twitter or XChat or Snapchat or TikTok, we are translating that into a structured action and route it into the operator's wallet market system, into their platform. So we're, in essence, taking a natural conversation, checking the platform that we're integrated with, and seeing if those products are available to purchase. And we're then bringing it back, and within sports gambling, we're turning it into a bet slip, but that could be a shopping cart. So what we're doing is we are currently creating what we call chat betting. You start to see message platforms become the channel for the conversion. So what we've started to do is, as we mentioned earlier, you have 1 out of 3 players that are creating a bet slip. So what we've then done is we've built the platform so that they can take the message or the conversation as a funnel and optimize towards their own KPIs. So you can understand which bucket or which step the player got to, and you can re-engage at those different buckets or steps within the funnel to allow the player or to push the player through the funnel towards the bet or the purchase. So what we're doing is we are building out messaging as a performance channel, as a marketing channel where you can take advantage of it just like you are for app and web. And as we become more sophisticated and understand how to take that conversation and turn it into a bet slip, we can evolve beyond sports betting. Prediction markets is a simple bet. We're doing parlays and accas, but prediction markets is just a simple bet for us. So we're also evolving into prediction markets, which is a huge topic, doesn't need the regulatory hassle that other sports industry markets have. And then as we go further into predictions markets, you could go further into financial exchanges and trading. And then the world is our oyster when it comes to other verticals and markets. I think what's really exciting is where we currently are. So the next 5 years is conversational commerce as a performance channel, or together with a performance channel. For the moment, we're focused on sports betting and helping to increase the margin, helping to increase the average revenue per user, and at the same time, the return on ad spend, because you can drive users in from ads, whether that's within the Meta universe, so click to WhatsApp ads, or an influencer sending them in, or even a QR code. And then once you've got them into the conversational funnel, you can. It's very easy, very quick to create that intent from the user, and then you continuously optimize and keep them active, and pushing them through the funnel to repurchase or repeat bets. We are currently building out. We've got live, which is really exciting because most sports bets are done live. So it reminds me. You're not going to like this as a Man U fan, but when
Not again.
Liverpool beat again, I've got to have at least one in there.
This is 2 now.
So
Go
when
on, go for
Liverpool
it.
beat
Do it.
Barca, you remember when Trent Alexander-Arnold took the corner quickly? Trent
Yeah, against
Alexander-Arnold corner
Barcelona. Yeah.
taken quickly. I
Yeah.
can place a bet that quickly. I'll pick up my phone. I'll send a voice message to chat bet. I want to place a bet that Liverpool are going to score from this corner. Bet placed within 10, 15 seconds. I can win off that. So being there for those live moments, I think, is really where chat bet stands out right now. We're also hedge betting. So imagine being able to place that bet, but then, you know what? Maybe I also want to just take my chances on red on roulette, or I'll do a spin on the slot machine, or even I'll buy a lottery ticket. So that's what we're calling hedge betting. And then once you've placed your bet, you can then send that forward onto your mates, and then they can place that same bet from the message that you've done. So in the short term, it's making sure that we're there for the World Cup. That's what we want. We want to take full advantage of the World Cup, such a big sporting event. I think it's around 45 days of non-stop action. Then we want to make sure that we want to continue to keep players engaged by bringing in additional products. Once we've done that, we want to look towards building in the ability to be in group bets. So right now it's a one-to-one conversation, an agentic AI bookie, or a VIP concierge service that's creating completely personalized bets autonomously at scale. Once we've passed that, we want to be able to go into group interaction conversations and be able to be the bookie of choice in those group conversations, that allows them to not just place a sports bet, but all of the other products. And then I think once you've got that funnel and you're converting, you're seeing repeatable bets, then we've got a lot that we can look at building further down the line. But I think performance channels for transactions, the bridge between unstructured human intent and structured executional systems, that's the layer that becomes more valuable over time, because it sits across operators, across platforms, and across each use case. So in the next 5 years, I think the winners aren't the operators with the best apps. They're the ones that plug into where intent originates. And our role, ChatBet's role, is to make sure that when that intent happens, we believe it happens in a chat, in a message, in a moment, that can be captured, understood, and executed instantly.
Just feels like we're at the start of a really significant transition in technology, but also for the industry. And from that final response you gave, then it feels like ChatBet is almost of this technology moment, or almost ahead of it, because I can absolutely see that whole idea of a corner being taken. Even if you're in the stands and you're like, oh, I've got a feel in the crowd, you can feel the blood, and I could just absolutely see that being a thing in the months and years to come. To go back to the introduction to round us out, I said at the top that for years the industry is focused on kind of building bigger apps, so more markets, more features, and subsequently more complexity. But the next phase may move in the opposite direction from what you're saying. It is almost less navigation, it's more intent, and in essence, from click to bet to say to bet. So Josh, yeah, I really appreciate the conversation. Really fascinating insight.
Thanks, Will. I think I love what you're bringing up in the stadiums, right? Because you can't always load a website in a stadium or an app because there's too many people there. But you can send a WhatsApp message. So being able to place a bet in a stadium is really exciting, and through WhatsApp, where it's low data reliancy, is brilliant. What we like to say is, from Barstool banter to bet slip, or from talk to tickets. It's definitely, we're seeing really exciting times, and the data is proving that. So we're loving what's happening here at ChatBet, and then
Thanks,
what the
Josh.
future is going to bring us. Thanks, Will.
Cheers, Bob.